Trying out the new camera here. Out here in the shop, I got some cleanup to do. How to make your hot rod project pay for itself. Well, I done had to sell one of mine. It's one that I've been kind of keeping on the down low for a while. Kinda. I just haven't been advertising it. I done had to sell my Studebaker motor. Well, didn't have to, but a good friend of mine, he's building a little 53 Studebaker truck. And I just so happened to have a 232 first year of the Studebaker V8. It's out of my 51 Land Cruiser. I pulled it because I want to make that car a driver, and they haven't made Studebaker parts since the 60s, so if I break down in that, I want to make sure I can get parts for it to keep going down the road. So, like I said, I'm not into restoration stuff in the least. I appreciate it. I like what people do with it, but for me, I like drivers. I like to be able to drive my stuff and the stuff that we build. So most of our stuff is just made simple to drive. So I had to sell my Studebaker. And again, this is the new camera here, so I haven't got all the doodads for it yet. I need a tripod, but I got you set up here on a redneck rumble sitting. You're on my carburetor container. Anyway, see if I can do this without screwing things up too bad. I'll get back here in my piled up mess. Yeah, I haven't got to yet because I've spent too much time up the other shop doing bill pay stuff. Anyway, this is the Studebaker 232 V8. Like I said, first year the Studebaker did the V8. Very interesting designs on them. And they actually got, for what they are, they got some horsepower out of them. It's a little 2-barrel Spromberg on it there. Super dependable, super easy. And it actually had an automatic choke. It picks up the heat signature from here and opens up the choke when it's time. And you notice the heat signature it's getting here is right through this is an exhaust port right here across through the intake manifold. So when it gets its heat up from there, up into the automatic choke, it opens the choke up and off you go. Kind of a neat design there. Myself, I prefer manual choke, but this was a Land Cruiser, kind of like Studebaker's Cadillac of the time. Bullet nose, but it was the fancy one. So it had all the doodads and all the options you could possibly get on it. Some of the little quirks and stuff of these. There's the fuel pump. It rides off of the camshaft that's right underneath there. There's a push rod that comes up through where you put the oil that drives the fuel pump, and you got your sight bowl here. So when this thing is running, actually this thing's only got 60 some odd original 60,000 original miles on it. But when it's running, you can see the fuel come in here, fill up this glass filter, sight bowl they call them, and then you see it fill up the one on the carburetor here, and you see everything working. They're neater than all get out. But anyway, the 232 V8 back in these years, it was actually pulling 120 horsepower, and the people that drove these things said they actually had a whole lot more. That was advertised, and they really didn't have dynos back then that they checked everything on, so they were kind of rough guesses. But, and not only that, it got like 28 miles per gallon, so they were conscious about that back in these years. Even when gas was only, what, a nickel a gallon? You could go a long ways on these. But, and it's only got 7-to-1 compression, and it was still pulling 120 horsepower. So yeah, you car guys out there know what I'm talking about. All you got to do is step the compression up on these. You get a whole lot more. Throw a 4-barrel carburetor on it, step the compression up. Yeah, this motor could be pretty hot. But one of the neatest things about this whole setup was this right here. This Borg Warner. Let's see if I can get it to focus on that tag right there. I think it's focused. Very unique automatic transmission. Studebaker had this developed strictly for them. And actually Ford was really hot to trot to try to get this from Studebaker, and Studebaker wouldn't give it to them. These little ports right here, that's the cooling system. It's an air-cooled automatic transmission. You don't have any coolant lines going up. Pretty doggone neat. And back in the day when they were first starting to come out with the automatic transmission, there was a lot of propaganda going around about them. If you stalled on the railroad tracks with an automatic, you wouldn't be able to push the car off and the train would hit you and kill you. There was a lot of public safety announcements and stuff going on trying to keep people from going automatic. So Studebaker put in this little solenoid right here. That is called track safety. Anyway, when it loses power, when your engine shuts off and you don't have power, the engine's not running, it would disconnect the power here and automatically shift the transmission into neutral. So if your car died on the railroad tracks, you could push the car off and train would go by and not hit you. That was their safety for it. Pretty neat. The way I found that out is when I had it in the car, I went to drive the car around the block a few times. This thing runs super smooth. I could put a soda pop up here and not even fizzle it when it's running. It very neat motor that way. But anyway, I got it all together, and I was afraid of frying the wiring because the old cloth wrap wire everywhere was pretty age checked and had. So I disconnected everything that the car didn't need to run and just left enough wiring to keep it running so I could drive the car around the block. Well, when I jumped in it to go, put it in gear, nothing happened. And I thought, oh no, I blew the transmission up, something's wrong. I sucked dirt up in there. Oh no, the whole world's coming to an end. I just killed this thing. Well, I've come to find out, no, I was a dumbass. And I disconnected this, afraid that I would short it out. So, it popped itself into neutral, wouldn't go. It thought it was stalled on the railroad tracks. Anyway, just kind of taking one last video of my 232 Studebaker here. I'm sure it's sad to see it go, but I know the guy that bought it from me, and I know it's going to a good home. and he'll take care of it. And she will live again and see the highway again. It'll just be in a pickup instead of a car. Sometimes you'll catch bits and pieces of that car. It's parked right out there in front of my shop, right behind my Pontiac that you see, and my icon and all of, you know, whatever. My Pontiac is sitting right there on the other side of the shop. That's where anyway, that's the car that this motor and transmission came out of. But, yep, she's going bye-bye. And the money that I get from this will help to pay to get the 58 going. So, that's where I'm at with this. Meantime, I got to get all of that stuff out there all cleaned up, and I got to pull this up front of the shop, hook onto it with the tractor so I can load it up in his truck when he gets here to pick it up. And he's awful excited to get it so he can get that Studebaker going. He was going to put a 400 Pontiac in it with a Pontiac transmission behind it, but it was just too big. Those little 48s, they're narrow. Let's see if I can figure this out. They're really narrow up front, and he ran out of room, so that big Pontiac 400 just wouldn't make what he was looking for. It would have taken up too much real estate in that little Studebaker truck. So, meantime, I'm going to get this out and unloaded for him, and in the meantime, get my Y blocks loaded up on the truck and get them ready to go up to the other shop. So, meantime, keep that metal hot. Hope I can get this all done in time before he gets here.